Hi guys, Bailey here from Carp Dreams, and I'm here at Nash HQ with a special guest, Mr. Urban Banks himself, Alan Blair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi guys.
So I'm here today to basically give you a short interview, for the website that I'm creating, Carp Dreams. And this website has two elements to it. It has one element that is what anglers miss. Anglers get so fixated on catching the bigger fish, the lakes record, their personal best, whereas like watching the kingfisher flying past your rods. See, that's a great day. That's a great day for me. Whereas
not always just worrying about catching the biggest fish, enjoying your fishing.
Yeah, that's it. And sometimes you get a small gratwick that are just absolutely stunning, or some fully scales that are just amazing. The other element to this is that as I'm a keen angler, but I'm only young, some of the videos on YouTube and the internet are like, oh, I look for casting videos, and they say, oh, tips to cast 100 and 200 yards.
With a 13-foot rod that you know you can't even really pick up properly.
I'm not going to be able to do that. I've only got small arms and I'm only 12 years old.
Yeah.
So what this website basically emphasises is the point that we give tips and information for young people, by young people, which everyone can actually think about, even starters that are older can understand it.
Like it. Good stuff, Bailey. Nice concept.
Going on from this point, I started fishing at a really, really young age. I think I was about 3 or 4, and I was catching small roach, as you always do to start off. And I just remember my dad was saying, "Oh, you're getting the hang of this now." And but what I wanted to ask you was, how did you start fishing and who took you?
Yeah, so very, very similar. I started around the same sort of age, and it was my dad. He took me every weekend, almost without fail, sometimes occasionally after school, and yeah, I loved it. And the same, small roach, gudgeon, perch, on a float, watching the float go under and catching fish, and quickly progressed to catching different fish at different waters. But yeah, similar. From a young age, real grassroots, basic stuff, watching a float and then watching a quiver tip pull round.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So moving on from that, you said you started from a young age, but how did you finally get from being a pleasure angler, fishing with your dad, to fishing as a profession, as your job?
Firstly, I don't really go fishing for my job. I'm blessed that I get to go fishing sometimes because of my job, but I don't go fishing and get paid for it, really. There's not really anyone, in course or carp fishing that is a true professional fisherman. There's some, but not many, not many. The way I got to where I am now is definitely for my love of fishing. I've just always loved it, differently loved it, I didn't play football, I didn't really get into any sport, so to speak, at school. I just went fishing all the time, and that kind of progressed into my teenage years. And when everybody was out, of a nightclubbing, there was occasions when I wouldn't go because I wanted to go fishing. And then in later life I found a beautiful girl that I'm now with, and we've got a child, and I made sure she knew I loved fishing. So I've always gone fishing a lot, And in later life, I was lucky enough when I had to start earning money, properly, having a job, that I made sure that was in fishing.
That's good. So you started from a young age, and now you've slowly progressed to a family that all love fishing.
Yeah. My girlfriend, not as much as the sort of first few years, but she still loves it. For the very reason she want to create this site, as not a non-angler, but an angler who doesn't go all the time, who's not fixated and obsessed with catching monster fish. She can quite happily come for a day or a couple of days with me in the beautiful countryside, appreciating the sunsets and the sunrises, cooking lovely food, and absorbing all the other nice parts of fishing without going herself wanting to catch really, really big fish.
This is what this website's about.
Yeah, I'm getting the gist, and I'm lucky that I've got a beautiful girl now, a little baby girl, and she's a bit too young to fish yet, but when she's old enough, she'll come and fish herself. And yeah, I think it's a great little concept, Bailey. I think in this day and age, and it's really society in general, not just fishing, but we're kind of brought up to wanting everything on a plate.
Yeah.
You know, so if you want burger and chips, you can go to McDonald's and you can go through that drive-through and boom, there it is. Yeah, you know, you can get your shopping delivered to your house now. And society, like, as people living in society, we've kind of come to wanting everything now, want it now, fixed, done, built, assembled, sorted. And fishing's quite similar now. People want to be able to go somewhere and very quickly they want to be able to hold up, you know, really, really big fish.
Yeah.
And I think you miss out on a lot of enjoyment along the way. Like, I don't want to go into this too much, but it is quite fun making a burger at home, you know, taking some real mincemeat, chopping up some onion, putting some flavours and stuff in it, putting it in a nice warm bun with some salad, and it tastes really nice, but you've also enjoyed the process of getting to it.
You feel like you've worked
cooked and created something, you know, and enjoyed it. And I think society, as I say, in general, is kind of giving us all on a plate, and fishing's no different. People are coming into it now and they just want to catch.
So we're talking about we need to work to get the fish. What style would you use to work for the fish? What style do you prefer?
I prefer, you know, if we're talking just carp fishing, the most commonly used method of catching a carp will be to have shiny bank sticks with bite alarms on, with rods, with big pit reels, with 15-pound line, and you cast it out and you put loads of expensive boilies around it, and that is carp fishing to a lot of people. I would far, far, far rather get to the end result of catching a carp through understanding what I was doing all the way. You know, I've been carp fishing many, many years, and I still don't like it, you know, casting out, feeling the lead down, boom, clipping onto the bite alarm. I'm never that comfortable with it. I'd far rather find a fish, creep up on it, throw a little bit of food out, watch how it behaves or reacts, then make a cast to it, present a bait to it, watch it take it, strike, and either set the hook or miss and go, no, I've missed, you know. All of that, as opposed to sitting there, casting out, boom, rig goes down, boom, boom, and one or two things happen. You've either got wrong presentation or there's no fish there and you don't catch, you blank, or you do catch, your bite alarm goes off. It is exciting, you know, and you reel it in, but I don't really know the story in between.
So you can't.
I quite like that. I like the bit in between.
Yeah, where you see you've walked around the lake. I know that you can sometimes walk around the lake 3 or 4 times before you see the fish.
For sure.
And yeah, I agree with you. I enjoy the stalking method where like you try and hunt them down almost and try and see where they are.
I like being able to see them. I think that's the key word, seeing them. You know, again, another little analogy. You have a fish tank at home. Everyone wants the water to be gin clear. You want to be able to sit and watch your fish and how they behave and swim around. You don't want a murky tank. No one's going to want to sit and look at a murky tank. And when I go fishing, it's the same. I want to be able to see everything and understand.
So we know you're a young, experienced fisherman. Now, out of your time fishing, what's the one experience that you always remember? Is your favourite?
It's so funny you say this. I was only speaking to someone the other day about doing things like this for people, and that is a commonly asked question. Your best. And I always give the cliche answer every time I go, it's great, you know, which is wrong because you're asking me a question. Again, I'm going to cop out here a little bit, Bailey. In carp fishing, the most memorable, iconic, best times, there has been thousands for sure, but if I had to pick them now for you, it would be the first time I caught a double. I was with my dad on my birthday. Wow. The first time I caught a 20, I'd worked many, many, many years to catch a 20-pounder, and then the first time I caught a 30. So not one, but 3. And they're the ones that sort of, which is ironic really, because I'm referring to a weight, which is what we're kind of talking, it shouldn't be about, but yeah, they were probably the milestones. Because you do need targets. You know, it is lovely catching scaly ones and nice ones, but at the same time, I think in fishing, like all sports or pastimes or hobbies, you know, you're always trying to aspire to do better. And yeah, a bit of an ironic way this conversation's gone, but yeah, I have used weights there to.
But then I swear that's with everyone though. They always go, oh yeah, when I caught my 30, when I caught my 40 from Belgium or France or whatever. Yeah. So I can understand where you're coming from, but if you had one day left to go angling, where would you go?
Oh, good question. That's a nice question. And we're talking angling here, not carp fishing.
Not carp fishing, any fishing that you're.
I'm gonna say only because I've made reference a couple of times to wanting some of my ashes scattered there, the river test. I would want to go fishing one more time ever on the river test.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Okay, so now there's been a few rumours flying around over.
I don't like the sound of this. Go on, mate.
Over social media and in all the magazines that Nash are creating an academy. Can you
elaborate a little bit on it? Okay, we're not creating an academy. I'll try and do this as quick as possible. We have set people up on academy type programs. For example, Jack Brown. You might have heard of little Jack Brown. Not so little now, but very, very, very good angler. We've had him on a sort of apprenticeship academy scheme. We have worked with a school based in Essex, where we went in there and we took approximately 12 students and we put them through a BTEC in fish husbandry, angling, and a BTEC in business, and we interconnected business and fishery sort of management / husbandry. We took them on a Monday and a Friday, and at the end all the students passed. That was with an academy, because you have primary schools or secondary schools now and you have academies, don't you? Yeah. So that was with an academy, and we ran that over 2 years. And we have done a lot of work with local angling clubs, where we basically go out on a Wednesday and a Saturday sometimes, and we take groups of kids that have never fished before, and we teach them the basics that we touched on earlier. So how to shot float, how to use a disgorger, how to hook a maggot on properly, catch them their first fish, and then we've been running a competition at the end of that where we give them some prizes. We're not, at the moment, haven't got an academy. If Mr. Nash was sitting here now, I think Kev's dream, you know, because like me, he's been in it a lot longer than me. His life has been fishing since he was your age. Exactly. So it'd be like having another person here. You get the same answers off Kev. He would start float fishing. Blah, 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 blah. Love fishing, fishing. And he's got to a point now in his life where he's made a lot of money and a lot of friends and become very successful out of fishing. And he would dearly like to put something back in the form of some form
to
of
make something
academy.
For everyone else.
Absolutely. So all the things we do, for example, the thing I mentioned in the schools, the thing we've done with the local angling clubs, we never charge. You know, we would never dream of charging a child to come fishing. It's more about having the facilities and the resources as a big company to be able to put something back in. So yeah, the word academy, yeah, we've used it, and we will for sure use it in the future and carry on trying to do things, you know, like I mentioned.
Okay, right, now here comes the exciting bit.
I thought that was quite exciting. What have we got?
We've got Carp Dreams top 5 killer questions.
Go on, hit me.
So, just to explain it, we're going to have these same 5 questions for every interview we're going to do.
Nice.
And then at the end, we're just going to see what was the most requested almost and stuff like that. So, number 1, if you could give a young angler tips improving their angling, what would it be?
Just one?
Yeah. One tip's taken from here to there.
These are difficult. One tip. There's loads of things going through my mind. It would probably be... This is a real generic one because I'm going to cop at it. It would be energy equals reward.
So if you put the time in?
Not necessarily the time, the energy. Focused energy, you know, so making every second count, every opportunity you make, trying your hardest to make the right decision, and just never be lazy. Never be lazy, and especially I'm referring to anyone who wants to or thinks they are or dreams of being a carp angler. The carp angler who is on it, focused and on it, will catch more fish than the guy waiting for them to come to you.
So it's like you sort of have to observe the lake beforehand and
focus, you know, get on the fish before anyone else, get up before everyone else, but make sure at the same time you're rested, so you're not tired when you need to get back on the fish, and you're just thinking fishing.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So now young anglers most of the time are on a limited budget. Now, what would you give to spend most of their money on? What would be the most important piece of equipment to spend their money on?
First of all, the pair of Polaroid sunglasses. It still stuns me the amount of kiddies, blokes, granddads, whoever I see that haven't got a pair of Polaroid sunglasses. Spend some pocket money, paper round money, cut your mum's garden, whatever you can do, get yourself a pair of Polaroids. You then got to spend money on bait. But by that I don't mean you have to buy the really expensive bullies or the really, but you need to invest money in bait because that's what the fish eat. And just think, if we're talking like shoestring budget here and you just want the bare essentials to get out there and catch fish, then strength and reliability, you know, don't cop out on cheap hooks, you know, because they're 99p, but a good pack of hooks is £4. Invest the money on a decent pack of hooks, strength and reliability, bait, and a pair of Polaroid sunglasses.
Yeah, that's top. So most of us young anglers, I know I've said that quite a few times, but they're normally at school during the week, and so that means that on the weekends that's the only time we can go fishing, and most of the time it's busy and it's really pressured water. How would you fish?
Nowadays I wouldn't, because what I've done, and it again relates perfectly to what you're trying to do here or create here, Bailey, is I don't go to those waters anymore. I don't, you know, if I'm going to go fishing I'm going to go somewhere quiet, but that means I have to sacrifice maybe catching lots of fish or really big fish. So that's me now. When I was your age and I was going to these busy pressured waters, my angle was exactly what I've just said above there. I didn't sit down. I didn't take a chair, mate. I had a bucket of bait or bait in my pockets and I was going around the lake. If there was any little free swim or spot, there was bait going in, I was standing there with my glasses on and I was just looking all...
Waiting for them to come.
Just going and making the opportunities happen. You know, making those opportunities happen. And that's not really changed to this day. If I have to go to one of those waters or any water I go to, just look in.
Okay, now this one's quite a tricky one. If you had 2 rigs in your tackle box, and these are the only 2 rigs you're going to be able to take with you, what rigs would they be?
Again, are we just talking carp fishing?
Yeah.
Right, so the first rig would be a 3-lined rig. It would be my main line, which would be a clear mono, probably £10 for argument's sake, for an average, and I'll just tie a hook on. And on that hook I could put bread, I could put a worm, I could put maggots, I could put anything I wanted basically, bar a pellet, side hooked. So no hair rig, no needles, no hair stops, just side hooked. That would be my first rig, and my second rig would be, for carp fishing, it's got to be a chod rig. It has to be a chod rig.
You use them a lot then?
Yep. You hear a lot of people, you know, high profile anglers or people in the trade like, oh, it's cheating, you know, chods are for nods and all this. Mate, when I go, I just want to catch them. I don't mind what, like zig rigs don't count.
Yeah,
zig rig, you know, they don't count on a zig rig, but no. So that would be me. It'd be a chod rig. You know, if I had to boilie fish at range and couldn't see, that would be a rig, or it'd be my 3-line rig.
Okay, so some people, like you said, don't like using the chod rig, and I don't understand why it is. And zigs, they always work. I used the zig the first time a few months ago, and I caught 2 on it, I think. It's
so exciting when you catch that first one and you see it's been hooked on a zig rig.
Now we've got the last question, and it's a bit of a silly one. What's the most unusual bait you've caught a fish on?
Oh, mate, there ain't many I haven't. I mentioned the little kids things we've been doing on a Wednesday afternoon. Well, I was teaching a young lad called Junior a couple of weeks ago, and he proceeded to get his lunchbox out, which had some lovely grapes in it, and he had some beef full of hoops, and we, between us, managed to catch a fish on each. One on a grape down the edge, and one on a floating beef full of hoops. So yeah, there you go. That was only a couple of weeks ago.
Excellent. Right, sorry we've run out of time, but thank you for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the next interview, and subscribe and like. Thank you for watching.
All the best, guys.